Good morning to one and all. I'm Captain Sanjeev Chadha, and I will be covering defense testing infrastructure scheme. Actually, Commander Nehra was supposed to cover this presentation, but due to some urgent requirement, he could not be here. So I have come in his place. Before I start, I will just say that defense testing infrastructure scheme is one of the transformative schemes that the present government had launched. The scheme was conceived sometime in the first tenure of the government, present government. However, it came to fructification in the second tenure of the government. So this is how I intend to cover this presentation. I will be covering a brief introduction to DTIS. There are certain domains where testing capacities, deficiencies were recognized, and the scheme intends to plug those gaps in the testing infrastructure. And I will also be giving a brief overview of the progress of the scheme, how the scheme has fared, what is the role of the defense industrial corridors that have been set up in Tamil Nadu and UP, and the bid process management, and what are the additional test facilities that we intend to come up with. So as I mentioned, the defense testing infrastructure scheme was conceived in the first tenure of the present government, somewhere around 2017-18. However, it was finally launched by Department of Defense Production in May 2020. The idea of this scheme is basically to boost the defense testing infrastructure, because for a long time it has been recognized that if anything that has been holding back indigenization in this country, it is the fact that we severely lack the defense testing infrastructure. You develop a product, but you don't have testing facilities. So whether the product will meet the requirements, whether it will meet the specifications that have been, with which it has been designed, we had to send the product abroad. And that basically meant that the cost of development went up, and more often than not, it was not economically viable, not economically feasible, and the development product needs to be dropped. So the key objective of the scheme is basically to promote indigenous defense production by bridging gaps in defense testing infrastructure in the country. So as a first step, outlay of 400 crores was sanctioned by Raksha Mantri. And the scheme as it was conceived basically intended to give special focus on MSMEs and startups. But as I will progress with the presentation, you will realize that could not be achieved. That could only be partially achieved. I would not say it could not be achieved, but it was only partially achieved. So basically, it aims to address the issues related to quality standards and certifications, because all the military equipment, certification is one of the big requirements. And the military standards or any standards that we specify, those products, those equipment have to meet those standards. So with these labs, testing labs, once they are set up under this scheme, we intend to plug that gap which was existing earlier. So the scheme basically envisages providing financial assistance to any entity that comes forward to set up the DTIS facility. 75% of the cost of setting up a lab, a defense testing lab, will be met by the government. Now, one of the requirements of the scheme is that the facility has to be a greenfield facility. It cannot be a facility which is already existing and converted to meet the requirements of the scheme. The project cost will not include the cost of the land. So essentially the entity, the special purpose vehicle which is created to set up the lab, it will have to provide the land. And there are further requirements. Land cannot be under mortgage. It cannot be under some kind of encumbrances. So it has to be freehold. The capacity of the building, the infrastructure that you are setting up, basically in the form of buildings and not testing infrastructure, I'm talking of only the building part, it cannot be more than 20% of the project cost. The remaining 80% will be the test equipment, the installation part, and the training of the staff that you will have. And work will be awarded on leased grant, that is on L1 basis, which will be sought by the bidder. So essentially the scheme envisaged that an implementation agency or a special purpose vehicle will be set up, which will operate this DTIS facility for each of the testing domains that will be selected. Now this special purpose vehicle would be a consortium of at least 5 members, and with participation of essentially MSMEs, startups, or any other entity, even DPSUs, state governments, central government agencies. But the main requirement of this, the guidelines which were approved, was that the company that will be set up will be a Section 8 company. As most of you would be aware, Section 8 company means it will be a not-for-profit company where all the profits that will be made from the labs will have to be rerouted to the entity, the company the lab which has been set up. And the 5 members which form part of the consortium, no member can have more than 40% of the share capital. No change in composition will be allowed for at least 2 years after the entity has been set up. And post 2 years, if some partner wants to step back and some new partner wants to join, formal approval would have to be sought. Now, SPV will be responsible for operations and maintenance, day-to-day operations and day-to-day maintenance of the assets which will be created. And it will be responsible for obtaining all the statutory approvals that need to be obtained. So essentially the aim of the scheme was 6-fold. It was hoped that self-reliance, defense, with provision of defense testing facilities in the country, we will be able to obtain self-reliance or Atmanirbharta. We will have enhanced capacity of defense testing in India under public-private participation. We will enhance the support for research and development in the country. This testing facility will align with the future demands, the future requirements of the armed forces. It will be a catalyst between the R&D organizations and the shipyards and other manufacturing, defense manufacturing entities that we have in the country. And it will basically meet the stated aim of the government that we will have defense exports of at least $5 billion in one financial year. As of now, the plan is the government intends to have $5 billion of exports by 25-26. So now we come to the brief market overview. So the scheme basically envisages that the following 5 groups will be the biggest beneficiaries of the scheme. The first are the MSMEs, as they will have easier access to testing facilities and shorter time will be required for testing the prototype which has been developed. Further, the cost will be reduced and better quality of testing infrastructure will be available. Likewise, for large private players who are into the field of manufacturing defense equipment, again, easy access to testing and again, a substitute for sending all this equipment abroad for merely testing the equipment. Likewise, DPSUs, the armed forces which are the users and the academia, all were expected to benefit from this scheme. So once the scheme had been approved by the Raksha Mantri, the first step which was done was to hire a project consultant. The basic job that the project consultant was required to do was to identify the sectors, the domains where there were deficiencies in the testing facilities, testing capacities. So the project consultant was to prepare a gap analysis report where basically he will study all the preliminary 15 to 20 domains which were initially identified, and to identify 8 domains among those 15-20 domains where maximum deficiency exists and where creating testing facilities would provide the maximum benefit to the country. So the project consultant had submitted the gap analysis report by early 2021, and the report was formally approved by Honorable Raksha Mantri by 18th March 2021. So the gap analysis report primarily identified 8 domains where they, in their opinion, maximum deficiencies existed and maximum benefit could be achieved if testing facilities were created. These 8 domains were unmanned aerial systems, EMI/EMC, electro-optics, mechanical, electronic warfare, communication systems, environmental testing, and ammunition. So once the gap analysis report was approved by the ministry, the tendering process was started by my Directorate of Quality Assurance Warship Projects. The project consultant had also prepared the draft RFPs for all of those identified 8 domains, and the same were issued by DQAWP. And however, the response was not so enthusiastic as we had expected. So out of these 8 domains, we got responses only for the 4 domains. Now, since the response was not very enthusiastic, issue was again taken up with the ministry, and the bidding process was at that time terminated. And subsequently, in a meeting which was chaired by Secretary DP, it was decided that the DTS test facilities will now be created only in the defense industrial corridors which were being set up at Tamil Nadu and UP. Earlier, the scheme did not specify the location of the testing facility. The testing facility could be set up anywhere in the country. But discussions and long deliberations that were held with the industry, it came out that it will be more prudent and better response will be received if these testing labs are set up in the defense corridors which were being set up. So once the decision was taken that testing labs will be set up in the defense corridors, it was decided to involve the state entities, that is the respective state entities, TIDCO for Tamil Nadu state and UPIDA for UP, to be the anchor agencies. And so they will select the implementation agencies, the special purpose vehicle entities, and they will be henceforth responsible for development and implementation of the DTS facilities. Further, they will be the ones who will be now issuing RFPs instead of Directorate of Quality Assurance warship projects. So it was decided that the state entities will be responsible for the following task. They will select the implementation agencies. So they will call for, they will issue the expression of interest for entities who are interested in setting up the facilities, and all the modalities that are required to be undertaken for the for this special purpose vehicle stroke implementation agency will be undertaken by the state entities. Now the state entities will also be providing the land where the testing labs will be set up. So as was originally conceived, the consortium, the special purpose vehicle was to be a consortium of 5 members. Hence it was, henceforth it was decided that state entity will be one of the members, and 4 other entities will form part of the consortium. And in lieu of the shareholding that the state entity will have in the consortium, it will provide land. Because the biggest, the first and the foremost reason why not so enthusiastic response was received was because of the requirement that land has to be provided by the entity, and it will not form part of the scheme. So with the involvement of the state entity, that concern of the most of the consortium members was taken out, and state entity will now provide land, and in return it will get a part of the shareholding of the formed entity. And state entity will be responsible for monitoring the physical and financial progress for setting up the DTS facilities, and fund dispersal will be taken up, will be done by Directorate of Quality Assurance warship projects with the approval of the MOD, Department of Defense Production. Now I will briefly cover what is the current status of the bid process management. As I mentioned, there are now 2 entities, state entities, which are involved in the forwarding of the scheme. TIDCO, which is for Tamil Nadu state, and UPIDA for UP. Now 4 domains, out of the 8 domains which have been identified, 4 domains are being taken up for development by TIDCO, and 4 domains are being taken up by UPIDA. For first domain, unmanned aerial systems, the lead SPV member is Keltron. The SPV name is ADART, which is Association for Drone Avionics Research and Testing. And as you can see, most of the statutory requirements have been already completed. The location where the testing lab is being set up is Kanchipuram in Tamil Nadu, and the lab is expected to start commercial operations by March 25. For electronic warfare, BEL is the leading member. Again, all the requirements, statutory requirements have been completed. The contract has been signed between the state entity and the SPV. Again, location is Kanchipuram, and expected to start commercial operations by September 25. Electro-optics, IOL is the leading member, and again being set up in Kanchipuram, September 25 being the commercial operational date. The 4th domain, which is being handled by TIDCO, is M&M, with lead SPV member Microlab. The contract is yet to be signed for this, expected to be signed. Actually, it was due to be signed by end November, but now likely to be signed by first week of December. And location for this lab will be at Trichy. Now, since contract has not been signed, I can't give you the commercial operational date. What is going to be the likely date for the commencement of operations, commercial operations? Now, initially, UPIDA was to handle 4 domains, but as of now, only 3 domains UPIDA has taken over. As you can see, again, most of the statutory requirements have been completed. The contracts have been signed. All 3 labs are going to be set up in Kanpur. 2 of those labs will be in IIT Kanpur. A new Technopark, IIT Technopark has been set up at IIT Kanpur. So location of these 2 labs, communication and unmanned aerial systems, will be at IIT Technopark. And commercial operations for all the 3 are expected to start by October 25. Now, since after the initial disappointment, the testing scheme has now got its own feet, and we are expecting that commercial operations will start from April 25 onwards. Now, 7 domains were handed over, and initially only 8 domains were approved. But seeing the success of the scheme, it was decided to add some more domains where the project consultant had identified certain deficiencies. So these additional domains are aviation oil testing, avionics testing, PCB testing, electronic propulsion and associated systems, and some other emulation test facilities which were not being envisaged earlier, and will be now part of this, the additional test facilities. Some more work needs to be done in this because the services of the project consultant were hired initially only for the 8 domains. And if these additional domains are also approved by the ministry, we would either need to extend the services of the project consultant or maybe hire a new project consultant. So at least I expect at least 12 months more before we have all the approvals in place and the gap analysis have been prepared for these test facilities and RFPs issued. As things stand, the entire bid process management will be done by DQAWP, but like we had done for the previous 8 domains, we intend to again get a project consultant to handle these RFPs, and the state entities, the TIDCO and UPIDA, to take up the development of these additional test facilities also. With that, I've come to the end of my presentation. If you have any questions, you can